guys, I wanted to bring y'all out here with me tonight because I realized I haven't really told y'all much about what we're doing here, or the fact that we still have not built our gates, but we're just using pieces of the wire fence as a gate, mainly because we have 12 geese who I don't trust in the garden. So yesterday we discovered we had a tobacco hornworm on a tomato plant. And just because it's on a tomato plant doesn't mean it's a tomato hornworm. They're actually two different things. We lost a very good chunk of the plant. So I'm hoping tonight to get out here with the black light and find out, just rule out that we don't have more. I also have to check the potato plants because I did see damage on the potato plants as well. But I wanted to come out and talk to y'all and just bring y'all along, show you what we're doing. We are just starting, and I realize I'm talking to y'all like there's anybody actually watching. And I realize nobody probably is but me a year, maybe 2 years from now, wanting to remember what this was like. But just in case somebody watches and maybe it helps you. I want to be talking to somebody and not myself, because that would mean I'm crazy. Anyway, everything is looking pretty good. Tomatoes are coming along nicely. Zinnia's coming along nicely. We had a lot of rain last night, a ton of rain. So the zucchini and squash. I want you to learn about me a couple things. I am a barefoot in the garden kind of girl. I love to plant things not just for function, but also just for fun. So I have never planted sunflowers before. So I got a dwarf variety. These were the ones I started in a pot. These are the ones I direct sowed. I'm really excited to see what they do. This is all of our okra. We're having some pest load problems, as you can see. Like, we've got some real pest load, and I cannot figure out what is eating them. So we're supposed to have rain again in the morning, so I waited on treating with diatomaceous earth, but I will be treating with diatomaceous earth anyway. The corn is coming up. It's starting to tassel. I've never grown corn before, if I'm completely honest with you. So this is really an experiment for us. We'll see how it goes. The beans over here, I'll have to pull up what these are. I'll post it on them. I'll tag it or something, but I forget what these were. But they are just growing like crazy. I've been having to really stay on top of them to keep them trained in the correct direction, because this is an actual teepee the kids can get in. I'm trying to make the garden accessible, essentially, to the children, because I want them to grow up with an appreciation for it. And I think that maybe that's just where my appreciation for gardening comes from. My background is in sewing, actually. I have a degree in psychology, which I really just use in everyday life with people, not in clinical sense, but I sew for a living. But my passion is plants, and it has been for a really long time. I was in 3rd grade when I planted my very first thing. My grandparents were gardeners. They actually grew like cacti and succulents, like back before that was trendy, because this was in like the 70s and 80s. And they had a huge greenhouse, and they grew these things, and they traveled all over Alabama and Georgia and Florida, and they had different people that they traded plants with and bartered with. And they would grow cacti and things like that, and they would barter with people for, sorry, I see a little little birdie is right next to me. Anyway, but they would drive all over, and they had all these friends, and it had to do with plants. And I remember growing up, going to their house and going out into their huge garden. And their chickens, oh, their chickens. My pawpaw had some chickens. And he had one that was so mean. Oh, it was mean. But it loved him. But that chicken hated me. And, but pawpaw never let it hurt me, you know, because that was my pawpaw. He was going to protect me. But anyway, I grew up going there. And I grew up with an appreciation of where your food comes from. Because they had meat chickens, they had egg layers, and they had a garden. And then in 3rd grade, we had a pumpkin that we planted at the end of the school year, or towards the end of the school year, just to watch how a plant grew. And I'll never forget, it was the end of the school year and we had to take our plant home. I didn't have anywhere to put it, but the neighbors that were directly behind us was an older couple, and in my mind's eye, they were like 100. But in reality, they probably weren't, but like in their 70s. And his name was Mr. Scroggins. And he was the sweetest man. They had about a 5,000 square foot garden. And I remember going up to Mr. Scroggins and saying, Mr. Scroggins, do you think it'd be possible if maybe I could plant this little pumpkin in your garden? I didn't know how big of an ask that was. I had no idea how big a pumpkin was going to be. But sure as the world, he said, sure, sure. And he left an entire row open just for me. So that not only taught me about the generosity that so many gardeners have, it taught me a lesson in being available to people. And he had never signed up to teach a 9-year-old about growing pumpkins or gardening or anything, but he told me, he said, okay, but I expect you to be out here taking care of it. That vine grew to be 35 feet long. I had like 9 pumpkins come off of it. But never once did he regret letting me have that entire row in his garden. And that's where my love really came from, because I watched something go from a tiny seed, you know, to something so much bigger than me. And anyways, that's just a little bit about me and where my love comes from. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and for listening to my story. This garden is really a dream come true. It's taken many years to get here, but it's definitely been worth the wait. I appreciate all of your support, and for everybody commenting, thank you. It means a lot.